Is Tinder Plus worth it? Hey guys, my name is Samuel, and I never talk about this shit in my channel, but I just want to introduce myself because with that being said, most likely you are finding this video through search. So on top of this channel, I'm a self-produced rapper and singer and podcaster, and using social media is very fucking unnatural for me. But doing all of these things, I kind of need it to grow my influence. So I've learned about the marketing and the business aspects of it, and I've become very fascinated with the data and how it works. But in the last 6 months, I've become fascinated with Tinder for similar reasons. So I got Tinder Plus. I actually got Tinder Gold too, I'm pretty sure. I talk about the differences of having those in here, by the way, and I have a lot to say about the results because I got way more of them in general. By the way, when I say way more, I'm talking exponentially more. And if for whatever reason you're watching this and you're a girl, I think a lot of it you could technically apply in some ways that work for you. So is Tinder Plus worth it? Let's talk about it. And also, let's talk about some tips and shit like that on how to get more matches, just in case you won any of those. Now, as far as pros and cons, the only con I can think of is the price, which is like $8 to $10 a month. And a lot of guys can easily make the argument of like, why would I spend this money on girls? I should be investing in myself. But in reality, a lot of the time, you're gonna be spending it on girls anyway. For example, I never drink or anything like that, but if I did, in about a year's worth of dates, I would have put easily more money into buying drinks for girls than I would into a year of Tinder Plus. So you're gonna end up investing in yourself and the hookups and potential relationships either way. Even if you don't drink, you're gonna put that money into dates. So the point is that you're gonna put all the money into fucking girls regardless, and the time you spend with them. In fact, you'll be doing it for more than just girls if you stick around for the rest of this video. In the US at least, in 2019, you can now get more of something for nothing than you could a century ago. However, because of this, and shit like the law of economics, for example, you can also get more of something for something than back then, which is a topic for another video. And if you look at the pros, I personally think it's worth it, for reasons that are, of course, more valuable than money. But that's subjective, so let's talk about it. I'm just kidding, we already did the intro. Number one is monthly boost. Every month, you get a boost. I mean, that's kind of fucking self-explanatory, but a boost is basically 30 minutes of being the first profile every girl in your area sees when they open the app. You get to skip to the top of the stack, or whatever the fuck they call it. The best time to boost, as far as I can tell, is Thursday night. If anyone's curious, by the way, studies have shown, dude, like I said, if it's any app like this, I'm fucking obsessed with the data, the studies, and all that other stuff. Studies have shown that 9 to 10 p.m. is the best time to swipe, specifically if you're looking for a hookup. But if you're looking for a relationship, that works too. Not as much as also doing it during the day. So I recommend doing it around 9 to 10 p.m. on a Thursday. Number two is unlimited right swipes. Something dope about Tinder Plus is that it gives you unlimited right swipes. Honestly, as far as the algorithm and how Tinder works, I heard they update it every 4 to 6 months. But I think there's something that swiping right too much can negatively affect that's very important called the ELO. I think the ELO is so foundational to the actual shit that Tinder does and how it works, almost on a biological level, that if you swipe right too many times in too short a time, it will negatively affect your ELO. What's an ELO? An ELO is a system of ratings that Tinder uses that was originally used to calculate the skill levels of players like chess and shit. I'm talking strategy games. And if you want to talk about strategy, Tinder is a fucking strategy game. Like, we're talking about human mating. This isn't RuneScape or Fortnite. This is literally the realest game in human history ever. I mean, fuck. It is human history. So there's an Elo score on Tinder, and it's basically how likely you are to come up on top in terms of results. Like, it really affects who you even have the possibility of matching with, let alone who even sees you. It's affected by things like the percentage of people who swipe right on you, the percentage of people who like you back, because this score wants to know if you're playing your league. Also, their Elo scores and your pickiness. I heard from some sources that you should swipe right 3 times for every 7 times you swipe left, but I've also heard 5 for 5. But that's if you're trying to keep your Elo score up and not down. I don't know why you would want to keep it down. Like, what also helps with this is sending messages to every single match that you get, and the links of the conversations as well. But swiping right too much, as you can imagine, because of shit like this, especially if you have Tinder Plus, can really fucking punish your score. Like, it'll pretty much make you invisible. A little more on optimizing your score later in the video. Number 3 is you get to control who you see. This isn't that big of a deal to me. You can get balanced recommendations, like the most relevant people to you. I don't know what that means exactly, but that's what the app says. Or you can see the most recently active. I've gotten more out of this, and I think some articles have said it's more beneficial regardless of what you're looking for, but this would only make sense, right? Because the people most recently active are the ones most likely more interested, per se, in matching with someone. How to get more out of this feature too, you'll learn more about later in the video. Number 4, you also get to control who sees you. They give you 2 options on this as well. Like, it could be standard, which basically means fucking the same thing as if you don't have Tinder Plus, or you can pick only people I've liked, which I think saves time in some aspects. But I mean, the more people who see you, two things, the more likely you are to get right swipe, but also the more likely you are to get left swiped. So basically, overall, more of a risk you're taking with your ELO. We're just talking bigger data here. Number 5 is Passport, which is a pretty unique feature. You get to match with people all over the world. Like if I'm in Philly, for instance, and I go to Hong Kong next week, I can travel to Hong Kong and come up in the app as a result beforehand. And if I match with someone, like just put in my profile that I'm coming to Hong Kong in a week, let's meet up or something like that. I haven't experimented with this at all, but I feel like it's one of those features that appeal heavily to a particular demographic of people who use Tinder. Like for instance, fucking people who travel a lot, which is not me. But I'm not the only guy on Tinder, so number 6 is control your profile, which means you can pretty much control whether you show your age and or distance. I don't know how much this would negatively affect your ELO score, but that would require some experimentation. I feel like if anyone noticed that something on everybody else's profile isn't on yours, maybe it would generate some curiosity. And I feel like with the way attraction works for guys at least, if you're a guy and it doesn't say your age or distance, that might be slightly polarizing, like even kind of subconsciously, to any random girl looking at your profile. Because it's like, motherfucker, how old is he? And where does he live? So maybe it would generate curiosity? I don't know, but on my profile, for work, I put living. And the location is a place that is. And the distance automatically goes under that in the presentation of the profile itself. So if I'm less than a mile away, it says Samuel, living at a place that is less than 1 mile away. And I think that's smart because if I saw it on a girl's profile, I would definitely find it clever myself. But the same goes for if I were a girl and I saw it on a guy's profile. Number 7, this is my favorite because I don't think that it affects your ELO that much, but I think it's pretty gangster. You get extra super likes. Now let me speak on this, because this benefit alone has easily multiplied my matches by like 3, like the app actually says it can. By the way, something that also multiplied it by 3 on top of that was getting higher quality, more interactive, more expressive pictures and or GIFs. In the description, I'm gonna drop a link. I don't know how many of you guys fuck with the red pill on Reddit. I used to during a time in my life. It was a weird time. It was a great time, but it was a spiteful time. And something happened. And bottom line, nowadays when I read it, it makes me want to puke blood in my mouth a little, but you know those friends who are just full of shit and you keep them around because every now and then they drop something that's just fucking gold and it's like a total game changer? Well, for me that's the red pill. So there's a red pill post I'll drop in the description which easily multiplied my matches by 3 after I kind of started applying it. That post on top of super likes. If you don't want to read it, basically 99% of your matches come from the quality of your photos. But you know, with picking up girls and shit apparently, even on dating apps like Tinder, you must woo the maiden, as they say. And a lot of guys will argue that super liking comes off as desperate. I've seen in some profiles a girl saying that, and I have looked at a lot of profiles. But most girls, in my experience, are surprisingly flattered. I think it may have something to do with honesty, like you're honestly that attracted to a girl, and if there's like a scarcity of you only have 1 per day, well most people do, it doesn't say that you have Tinder Plus, then that's the girl you super liked of all the other ones that you looked at. And that also kind of screams like, if you want to think of yourself and not me by considering the fact that I super liked you, then you stood out more than all the other girls I looked at. So maybe that has something to do with it. A big deal though is that with Tinder Plus, you don't just get 1 super like per day, you get fucking 5 of them. That's definitely more than 1. Before I got Tinder Plus, I would just swipe once a day, having a little, a little swiping session until they're like, okay, time's up, time to wait 12 hours. Now I do the same thing except with the 5 super likes that I'm given every day. To this day, I am still surprised how many girls like me back. Honestly, because I'm so used to thinking before I got Tinder Plus that it comes off as desperate. But at the same time, dude, unless they're fake rapper SoundCloud play numbers or something, results are results, okay? Number 8 is rewind the last swipe. This is something you can only do for 1 profile at a time. Like, you can't go back twice. It works on super likes as well. Number 9 is hide ads. Ads, and a lot of other things on Tinder, but mostly ads, are generally a waste of time, in my opinion, with the free version. And that's because the consensus, it took me most of 2018 to really understand that time is more valuable than money. People say time is money, but they don't realize that you can always take $100 and throw it on the floor and pick it back up. But you can't take 100 minutes and throw it on the floor and do the same thing. Money is abundant, but time is scarce, and I cannot stress that enough. Number 10. Now, a little, or I guess big, bonus one is the difference between Tinder Plus and Tinder Gold, which saves a lot more time. Like, super liking every profile that you see, and you're like, dude, what the fuck? Like, that girl really stands out. That's one thing. But this right here is a fucking super game changer. You get to see who likes you. Now, let me highlight what's so great about that. It's because maybe you see some girl likes you, and you're like, ooh. So you like her back and you start flirting and then go on your first date and really see a lot of chemistry and get into a relationship and fall in love and get married like 3 to 5 years later and stay together until you are done part by death. I don't know if that was correct grammar. I feel like till death do us part was always one of those weird sayings in like Shakespeare plays and shit that no one in modern times ended up replacing with some catchier, more simplified alternative. But my point is, if you never had this feature, it would never be a problem that you would never have known how long it would have taken for you to swipe and swipe and swipe, and fucking forever later, you finally find this girl, but she says in her profile that she's just looking for friends because she already has a boyfriend who she's been with for like fucking 7.5.2 years. You know, the boyfriend who bought Tinder Gold that fucking wasn't you. So that's pretty cool. With what I told you about it and or practice, a lot of this stuff is just very biological. These people use fucking science when it comes to these apps. That's why they're so successful. And a couple other reasons which are also topics for other videos. You could eventually look at a profile and make a pretty accurate guess on their Elo score, I'm sure. Like, what's yours like? What does their profile look like? Are they attractive? How many photos do they have? If it's a higher Elo, you'll probably swipe right anyway, but in case you don't want to, I would consider the benefit of at least doing so, and even just messaging them. The algorithm, I'm sure, will thank you later. Have any of you guys gotten Tinder Plus and or Gold? What do you think? Talk about your experience in the comments below. If you guys have anything else you want me to talk about in future videos, please let me know in the comments, and I will give you a shout out if and when I use them. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up. There are links at the bottom of the description to all my social media. Make sure to leave a like if you like it, subscribe if you haven't already. If you could turn on that little bell to receive a notification every time I drop a new video, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.